What worries you the most, Bill, first, when you look at this day and look forward?
You worry, for poor countries, you worry that you're going to get real instability, conflict, infrastructure breaking down. So far, we haven't seen that. But the real effect on one thing about this crisis that's stunning is that it started in the U.S. And even if you'd said in September, hey, does this mean Germany is going to be worse than the U.S.? I would have said, no, I'm hiding out in Germany. I'll tell you, that didn't work too well. There's almost a domino-like effect, and the developing countries are not that, the poor ones are not that affected yet, but in a year, they will be the most effective. The biggest thing that helps poor countries is not aid or anything else, it's actually remittances, that is people from poor countries who go and work and send money back. Those numbers have dropped over 25%. And that is a huge impact on those countries. And this again is a lagged phenomena, that the aid budgets in 2009 and 10 will be very good. The scary thing is, will they be cut later as people are trying to balance their budgets? And this is a cause that has less of a public in times of cuts in the U.S. and in all rich countries, less of a constituency than the other candidates for cutting.
When you have an 8.0 or an 8.5 on the economic Richter scale happen, as we had in this country, with the epicenter being in September, it sets the table for major change. I mean, people are going to want a reaction with government, and that can be for good or bad. I mean, in the 30s, we got Social Security, which was terrific. We got the FDIC, which was terrific. You got a whole bunch of things that my dad at the time probably felt were socialism, but it turned out very good. But it can also be, you can get some very bad consequences out of that. You had a 90% tax, that was proposed to be put on a selected group of people because the world was mad at them. And I do think that point was made earlier that maybe the New York and Washington were sort of overemphasizing what's going on out in the Omahas of the world, but I don't think that's the case. I mean, people have had a huge, huge shock. Now, they've gotten past the total terror that they were experiencing when the money market funds broke the buck and everything, but they, there's a lot of unhappiness, and the truth is that everybody in this room virtually is far, far, far better off than they were 20 years ago.
When you look at the question of the amount of debt that's piling up, people have raised this question here. Are you at one with them that there is something troubling about how much?
It will be, yeah. We had we had this economic Pearl Harbor. We reacted. Everybody started producing battleships immediately, and they went out of they enlisted in the war. But we are using medicine, fiscal stimulus, deficits. We're using it on a scale that's never been done before, and it will have consequences. That if it was this easy just to pump up things all the time, we'd just mail out money every week. I mean, I got $250 the other day, and that will take care of me for 6 or 7 months of my consumption pattern. But it will have consequences, and that has to be bad for the value of money. Now, I'm not predicting how the dollar does versus the euro or the pound, because they're going to do the same thing. But it is the dumbest investment in the world. People were saying cash is king, in the last 6 months. Cash is crap, basically. I mean, cash will, that is the one thing I can predict is what will happen to the value of cash over time. I don't know what will happen to equities or real estate.
But cash.
Cash is not the thing to have. And there's going to be a lot of it around because they'll be printing it.
I think it's important to remember, particularly now when some of those economic figures are going to be weak, that it's a fairly imprecise measure of how human welfare is improving, particularly if you look broadly, at 6 billion people. And so take some of the innovations we talked about here, the internet, where people can learn. You're so much more empowered to see what's going on in other parts of the world, connect up with other people. The economic figures will never fully reflect the empowerment of a young kid satisfying his curiosity, or scientists working better together to understand, say, malaria and do new things about that. So there's huge empowerment that comes. So I thought it was great that we got around to, hey, let's stay committed to innovation, because that serves not just the, hey, let's drive up a statistic, that actually serves the real end goal, which is human welfare.